December is off to a rocky start in the traditional finance world. However, crypto is on a hell of a run. Bitcoin pumping to the goddamn moon. We are so back. Cannot wait to discuss all of that and more today on Money Never Sleeps. Welcome back to Money Never Sleeps, everybody. Appreciate you being here with us today. As we get going, do us a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet. Nothing that Kevin or I say is financial advice, so please do your own research before making any sort of buys or sells. Kev, where do you want to start today, man? We have a major crypto pump. Bitcoin almost at 42K on a little bit of a run as we speak. ETH is doing well. The alts, not so much. We have Bitcoin dominance absolutely flying. Highest level we've seen Bitcoin dominance since April of 2021. So going crazy there. TradFi, meanwhile, is getting hit pretty hard in what many expect to be a very volatile month. Netflix down big. Nvidia down big. Google. Coinbase is really the only thing that is up in a big way today, not surprisingly. But what has caught your – we got gold volatility. Fucking gold, went way up, came back down. Like, it's nuts out there. Where do you want to begin?
Dude, it doesn't matter because it's all leading to the same spot. Horrible.
Oh, here we go.
Recession. We're going to the opposite of the moon. We're going to, I don't know, the fucking core of the earth. It's gonna get bad, but there are definitely signs all across that we should be keeping an eye on. Let's start with the bullish stuff because I think that we're in a bullish doom market where everything seems great, but we know that there are storm clouds ahead. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just absolutely insane. It's on a run. And the worst part about it is the structures couldn't be any worse. We'll just talk about this high level. We'll get into the charts later, but everyone right now is just aping into crypto, it seems. And it seems. I say that's because the volumes are not saying the same exact thing when we look at the price. I didn't expect it to shoot up this much. I didn't expect it to go over 40K. However, here we are. And we saw that, Friday was a really good day for TradFi once again. A lot of stocks were doing extremely well. So it's really interesting to see Bitcoin once again over 42. But I don't necessarily think that this is going to be a sustainable. I don't think it's going to be sustainable one bit at all. I think everything right now, people are saying this is 100% the ETFs. I think we're still in this place where there's manipulation from these stable coins. But that's just one guy's take. How do you feel about this, considering you're probably going to be the owner of $100 tomorrow because of Matic?
I feel great. We can double. Do you want to double or nothing on some like an ETH futures bet? Because I know that you're still believing it's going to go to the $700 range. I don't think we're going to retest the 2021 lows or 2022 lows. I mean, we could just roll that bet over and double or nothing it.
Nah, man. I think that $100 losing here is better than losing $200 in a manipulated market. I also think that we could do a gentleman's bet here. Nothing for cash, but I still do believe that we'll get to that level. I just think that fiat's going to be the hottest commodity. I mean, it's not a commodity, it's a currency. It's going to be the hottest thing in the next 6 to 12 months, and we're already starting to see signs of it. I think that we're still heading for way more pain in this crypto market. I mean, ETH, nice move over the weekend, close to 23. I don't know if did it hit 23?
Not quite.
It was on the path towards it. Let's see.
It wicked up to 22.75. Yeah. So it's getting there.
Still a good move. Great move for ETH, right? And then that's the thing that we were kind of cautious about. We said that Bitcoin could go over to 40K, to 40K. It went a little bit higher than expectations. Now the question is, it went over people's expectations. Does it go up higher from there? People think, oh, maybe I got to buy in, and that's kind of like how tops and bottoms are formed. The bottoms are formed when all the sellers sell out, and then the top is formed when all the buyers buy in, right? So that's kind of the weird thing where we are. I'm really interested in seeing if there is more gas in the tank for either of these moves. But I mean, guys, there's just so much liquidity sitting down south of here. That's all.
Listen, man,
that. Millions of liquidations.
Bloomberg said today that
Oh
we're
no,
at the
dude, don't even
start of
bring
a
that up.
new super cycle where Bitcoin is going to 500K a coin. Like,
Who the fuck is
all
writing there?
just push it all in.
Correct.
I'm kidding, people. Do not don't go all in on crypto. Like, it's a terrible idea. However, I will say, as someone who bought crypto last Bitcoin, like, went heavy at 19.5K last year, I am fist pumping this move. Like, I don't know. I've been saying it for a while, but I feel great about my situation. I'm in like I'm in a win-win right now. If crypto is going up, I can just watch my account balance going up. If it starts to plummet, I'm just going to hold on to that and just buy more because I got plenty of cash sitting on the sideline. So I'm feeling great right now. I'm not sweating it. I think that, I'm of the belief that you are. Like, that's why I haven't put all of my money into, all my available liquidity that I have to buy into anything else, because I don't feel like, we've hit that bottom point yet. I think that, there's still more to come our way, but it's a good spot if you are patient, you have a long-term perspective, but you also consistently have cash coming in that you can allocate to crypto, whether it's DCAing, buying dips. I'm doing a little bit of both. Like, I don't know, man. I feel pretty good about it. We can also talk about kind of what we have in the week ahead, because all eyes are on jobs this week. That is,
Oh yeah.
We don't have a ton of financial reports, but they're all focused on the job market. So we got factory orders today. We can talk about that in a second as far as like deflation goes. That's not good. Tomorrow we get the JOLTS report, which is job openings. Wednesday we get the I believe it's the private sector ADP, yeah, the private sector employment report. Thursday we get jobless claims and consumer credit. Newsflash, spoiler alert, don't think consumer credit is going to look too fucking great, especially with everyone expecting to do buy now, pay later stuff for holiday gifts, which is just so stupid. Like, don't even get me started on like the consumerism in our culture. It's just so dumb. Anyway, that's on Thursday. And then on Friday is the big one: employment report, unemployment rate, hourly wages, year over year hourly wages. Bunch of good stuff coming out this week that will absolutely impact. And I'm going to pull it up right now, because some people, surprise, surprise, are finally realizing that maybe the Fed's not going to cut rates as soon as they thought they were. Who could have seen that one coming? Like, Jesus Christ. So I want to see, we're pretty much locked in to no rate hike in December. In January, I'm still seeing a skip there. In March, let's see, we got there's still it's priced in that we're going to get a 25 basis point cut in March. That to me is that's problematic. And then let's look at May. Where are they thinking in May? Pretty much guaranteed. Now it's only a 16% chance that we'll still be at this rate in May. There is a 84.4% chance the market, and this is what the market is priced in, that we're going to be 25 to 50 basis points lower than where we are right now in May of next year. Maybe. Or we may see a little bump back up in inflation. We may see the job market, take a hit. Like, who the hell knows? I think they're getting a little ahead of themselves, but I mean, I don't know, man. This market continues to surprise. It's held up by toothpicks and bubble gum, and I really don't know what. I know you like to say it's held up by bullshit. I wanted to go a different route today, trying to change it up a little. But what are of those reports I just listed off? What do you think is going to be the most meaningful one?
Unemployment 100% on Friday. And the reason I say that is because now we're going to have everything from this week plus that. And it's also the last day of the buyback window for all of the corporate stocks. So that's going to be a really important day. I mean, today is a really important day too. Nothing is really happening, but we're starting to see movement in the markets. And, I think that if we start getting some really shitty data for employment that's showing, hey, maybe the labor market is getting it's getting a little scary there. People are starting to lose their jobs. Maybe people aren't necessarily it's not as good as people were once saying, oh, this is a strong labor market. If we have that plus some of those factory orders that we got today, and we continue to see a lot more signs that, okay, we're seeing contraction, a lot of production in the United States. Well, that means that unemployment's probably going to rise. First in manufacturing, then it's going to be the services sector. And then before you know it, Spotify, 17% of their workforce getting cut also. That's just another sign that we're seeing, a lot of big companies trying to make some room going into Q1. But yeah, I think that unemployment, this is a huge week. I think this is probably the most important week. And I'm glad that we don't have any PCE data or any of that shit this week, because I think that would definitely impact and skew a lot of what the market is probably going to be pricing in. But I think this is going to be a huge week. I think Friday is going to be a really interesting day in the market, and I'm absolutely excited for it. One thing I do want to talk about, though, before we forget, Evergrande. This is probably the behemoth that no one wants to talk about. And last night, which would have been yesterday morning in China, they had their hearing for liquidation proceedings. And this was supposed to be the last hearing. And then within like maybe an hour or so into the court, they just adjourned. They said, we're going to give it 5 weeks. You guys come back in January 29th of next year. And that's really interesting to me, too, because it's also around Lunar New Year. It's just wild. They just pushed it back.
Are you getting
and
into the astrology stuff now?
Hey, man, don't knock it till you try it. But no, it's really interesting to me that they're pushing it back. And I think China is also has so much intervention in their government right now because there's so many problems there. I mean, they wouldn't have to intervene if there weren't so many problems. But it's something that we need to be keeping an eye on, because that's something no one really wants to talk about. If they start to liquidate their assets, or they're forced to liquidate, I mean, that's just going to send tidal waves throughout the entire property market. HSBC, that bank, I mean, just imagine how much exposure they have, and then how many people have exposure to HSBC here in the United States. Like, this is not something that, if it happens, it's not going to affect us over here. That's absolutely going to affect us. We're pretty much just hoping that China doesn't collapse at this point in order to save the stock market. But I mean, they're doing everything possible to prevent this from happening, and it's not working. They're injecting liquidity, which is killing the yuan. That's why it's helping the dollar go up right now. The exposure that we have and the amount of exports that are dying right now, like not coming out of China, is just so concerning. And the markets have it wrong, in my opinion. But eventually, this is going to bleed out to it's going to come to a head. We keep saying it's not going to be something that we anticipate, but maybe it is. I really do think that something is going to come out of this Evergrande news that's going to impact the markets. Maybe it's not today, maybe it's not the next hearing, but eventually that's a lot of money that's going to have to be liquidated at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we also found out that the Bitcoin spot ETF date got pushed back to like the January 5th to 10th range. So, more excitement there that people are going to be starting off the year.
Sure.
Super cycle, baby. Super cycle. Bitcoin, $500,000 a piece by next summer. We got the halvening. We got the ETF. We're going into a super cycle. Print it. Boom.
I got your astrology right here. Fuck the moon. We're not going there. All right.
You're going to talk, hold on. You're talking about astrology, like, believing in astrology, and then you're going to badmouth the moon? The fucking moon? That's crazy.
I'm talking about the moon that everyone thinks we're going to, right? The first time we'd ever land on the moon, for all the conspiracy theorists out there. But jokes aside, let's get into the charts, because I think there's a lot of stuff that we could be talking about.
All right.
Let's chart it up.
Chart it up.
Let's do Forex first, because that's really interesting to me. And again, you guys know I'm bullish as can possibly be on the dollar right now, which is not necessarily something that people are, it's not a sexy thing to say, right? Oh, I want the dollar to go up. Well, I do. Well, and here's why. You can see that we're in this massive bull flag right here, right? I mean, it's just coming down, making lower lows and lower highs. We broke out of this little one that's right here. We're trading at 103.687. We had a good move to the upside today. The question is, though, we're seeing the stochastic RSI move extremely fast to the overbought territory. We're probably going to be overbought by the end of today. Does that mean that we could come down and test this once again? Yes, absolutely. It's very possible. But if we look at the stochastic RSI for the weekly, you can see that I think we are actually, we're 2.65 and 7.82. I mean, that's essentially completely oversold. We look at the monthly, we're only at 17 and 19 for the monthly. So there's plenty of room to keep going to the upside, right? And I think there's a lot of things that could definitely impact the dollar right now. And one of them is the euro. I was talking with a friend before the show, and he was talking about how Ukraine might lose the war, right? And how that could absolutely impact the euro and everything over there. I'm like, yeah, if something were to happen over there where they lose the war, the euro 100% is going to be impacted, right? And where we are currently, I don't think people realize this, but we were in a massive bear flag for the euro on the monthly, right? We broke out of it, we retested it, and now we're out of it once again. And we're finding some support roughly on the 15 to 200 EMA on the daily. We could say this all we want, that this is, going to keep going up, that the euro is going to get stronger against the dollar. I don't necessarily see it that way. I see a corrective pattern that's up here. We broke out of this. we retested it. Now we're breaking back out of it again. I think we're going to test the origin at least, which is 103.445. And if this is part of a bigger move to the downside, I mean, this could absolutely just pretty much obliterate the euro. And that narrative kind of lines up with it. Also, the fact that we're seeing tons of contraction in Eurozone. We saw that Eurozone inflation is down to 2.1%, which is terrible considering how high their rates are. I mean, that just means that things are coming down a lot faster than people anticipated. That means they're probably going to have to start pricing in some of these cuts. Stock market in general, though, is still fairly high. So I don't think they realize the implications of how fast inflation has came down over there. That's a very scary thing, because that means that a lot of people are probably going to get trapped in that. But this is one thing that's showing me a lot of strength for the dollar. The euro probably is going to come down. This corrective pattern that we saw, great. It was from a massive move to the downside. Now we're going to probably continue the trend. That's just one thing I'm seeing there. If we look at the yen's been in an insanely crazy spot lately. I don't think this massive bear flag is done yet. I think we're making higher highs and higher lows, but we're just making, this low right here. I think we're going to bounce off thing, push back up. If we can see how the stochastic RSI down here is just absolutely coiling up for the past few days, right? I mean, look at this. I mean, you can draw a line straight through it, just showing how much resistance it's finding on this line. I think the yen's going to take off here. And I think what we're seeing here by this stochastic RSI, trading in this range, and we can talk about maybe ARM in a little bit, is something's broken in Japan. That's just, I'm going to say my opinion in this right here. I think something is severely wrong in Japan. I think it's a company, and I think that we're seeing them try and combat something horrible from happening by manipulating the dollar. I'm not saying the nation or the Bank of Japan is manipulating the dollar, but I definitely think that there is something off about this yen and the price action we're seeing. I mean, if we just look at this on the daily, I mean, we have some pretty violent swings out of nowhere. Before it was, it's like a slow build up. Now we're seeing, back and forth, back and forth. I think this is part of a corrective pattern. This could be an ABC, and then now we're completely oversold on the daily. We have a good move to the upside here. And I mean, we could be talking about, 155 to 1 to the US dollar for, the yen, if that's the case. And eventually it will break, right? That's something that is going to happen. But if it continues to climb up from here and to find support on this trend line, then that means the dollar is going to be strengthening in that regard too. We're talking about the yuan. Once again, it's green again. If they continue to print money and there's issues over there, this is probably going to continue to rise up, which is also great for the dollar, bad for global currencies, foreign currencies. And the last one we got to talk about is Peter Schiff's baby right here. This massive red wick candle that we were talking about last week when it comes to gold. If you were watching gold last night, you saw it take all the way up to 2147, currently sitting at 2031. So that was a massive pump and dump that we saw. I mean, it's funny if you just look at, say, the hourly. Look at that.
Jesus.
That's gold for you. That's gold for you. And Peter Schiff was up here last night. And I like Peter, but sometimes I disagree with him. And I was telling you guys that gold is probably not going to take off here. I think it's the uncertain trade. But this was him up here saying that it's going to go much higher and then Bitcoin's going to crash. And literally the fucking opposite happened. So Pete, sometimes you just don't say stuff like that.
You caught Peter Schiff. It was nighttime. He had either just gotten done like huffing glue or drinking half a bottle of whiskey or something. And he said some dumb shit on Twitter. Nothing new there.
He was at some Puerto Rican cabana down there. And he's just enjoying,
Is he from Puerto Rico? I know nothing about Peter Schiff.
I think he has a place down in Puerto Rico. Whenever I see him in interviews, he's wearing like Tommy Bahama shirts and stuff like that.
God, dude, I'm at the point in my life where I own, like, my favorite shorts. I'm going to go on a tangent here. I'm at the Tommy Bahama phase in life where I started buying like shorts from Tommy Bahama because I like how they fit. Like I'm just getting so old. Like I say this because I'm turning 38 next week. And so it's just like too much. It's becoming too much for me, Kevin.
Dude, I'm getting to the point where all I wear now is hiking gear, and I live in the fucking city. So it's comfort. Comfort is the most important thing the older you get. I appreciate it.
Comfort is king. Yeah.
It is 100%. And value.
I also hate pullover hoodies because at my advanced age, I'm likely to like hurt my shoulder or neck trying to like pull on or take off a hoodie. So I like the zips a lot better.
You're a muscular guy too, so that's probably why. Let's see this here. There's gold on the hourly. I mean, it's perfect 5 waves. The 3 waves up, perfect. 5 waves down, perfect. Doesn't mean we're gonna get 3 waves up here, most likely, but I think they're not gonna be as great as this move to the upside that we saw here. But we saw that it shot all the way up, and now it's down at 2030. And if we look at DXY right now, it's sitting at 103.688, and we can see that it was climbing this entire move from last night into today. So the DXY is having a great day, in my opinion. I think that there is still a lot more room to the upside, but as long as we start seeing some of these issues globally, both with deflation in some of these places, the war ending, gold continuing to do what gold does best, be uncertain, it shows you that we're probably in a place where if equities do sell off, we're going to probably see the DXY rip. So that's why I remain bullish on the dollar. There's a lot of stuff that's going into that. Now, if we look at TradFi, we can see that things are coming back just a little bit. I'm not necessarily too concerned with TradFi here. You can see that the S&P is at 45.62. So pretty good move from where it was on Friday. Friday, I believe it closed, 6 points short of 4,600. We're back below this massive white trend line. I'm not too concerned about it, and that I think that we're probably going to still be somewhere in this range until Friday. Again, corporate stock buybacks are still happening, so it's very possible this continues to climb from here. If we look at the NASDAQ, again, we're in this really weird range. With the NASDAQ, we're below that trend line. I don't know if we're going to get all-time highs. I think that's a bit of a stretch. I think there's a lot of greed out in the market right now, so we really need to be cautious of that. And we'll take a look at some of the other tech stocks and why we think that, the Dow still in this parallel channel. I think it still is in the parallel channel. Let's do this. I deleted it last time. We can see that this right here. Yeah, look at that. Perfect parallel channel. All right. Yeah, so we're still in that shit too. So nothing necessarily is broken. This trend line here, obviously, we'll probably find some support on that, so I won't delete it. I think it'll probably come down, find some support. If it's unable to push up further than that, then it's going to lose it. And then we're probably going to be, filling a lot of these gaps to the downside here. So it's really interesting with TradFi where it is. I think a lot of the move has already happened. Doesn't mean that we can't continue to push up, but I think that it could be a very boring week until Friday. Friday, I think, is when we're going to start seeing some positioning moving forward, especially knowing that we're going to have FOMC, I believe. It's next week, right? FOMC?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's definitely going to line up perfectly for that people are going to position themselves going into that week, probably Friday or, Sunday night market futures.
Okay. Interesting. I dig it. All right. Let's get into crypto. Or actually, you want to you pulled up Apple. We can get into like Apple and ARM. We can get into crypto. Let's move through these.
Yeah, let's just look at a few things right here, and then we'll look at crypto because crypto, there is some stuff on Bitcoin that we do want to talk about. We'll talk even right here real quick. Apple's up or down actually 2.37%. Tesla's down 1.24% for Apple, 1.18% for Tesla. Nvidia's having the bad day. That's the one that's it's at $452 a share. It's below the 50 moving average on the daily. You can see that it's heading for this gap down here. There is a gap up here, which I hate to see fucking gaps to the upside because it seems like they fill every single damn one recently. But there's a gap to there, so we just keep an eye on that. We're also seeing this in a megaphone pattern, which is just uncertainty once again in the market. It's like, yeah, we think it's going to go up higher, but we don't have the money to actually push it up higher. So we're going to hope that you guys believe it because we printed 500 fucking Bloomberg articles saying that we're in a super cycle. So that's one thing we have to keep an eye on here.
We are in a super cycle. To the moon.
Fucking good luck, guys. And again,
you're going to be so sick of me by the time we actually do hit a super cycle.
You know what's funny about it? I don't necessarily care if people are bullish, but I just hate how much greed there is in this market right now. Like it's like to an asinine level. And I think,
buddy, if you hate how much greed is in this market, like I don't know, maybe this market might not be for you then because it's just nothing but greed.
Oh, I know 100%. But let's put it this way: if we're in a bull market and there's greed, I can get behind that because I understand that kind of is correlated. It's when things don't necessarily make sense and you do hours and hours of research and it's like, well, okay, you should probably do this, and it just doesn't. I was talking to my friend before the show, and it's like maybe we should have just been idiots this entire time and just said, fuck all the stuff that's going on in the world and just kind of just be extremely bullish when they're printing Tether. But yeah, this is just what we're looking at. Some of the tech's just having an absolutely red day. We don't need to get into too much there. I do want to look at ARM because I was telling you guys last night that there's a good chance that ARM is, I won't say what it is, but I think there's a good chance that ARM could absolutely tank. And I think this because both its exposure with SoftBank, which I don't, that's probably the one that I'm talking to you guys about in Japan that I think is in really bad shape. I'm not saying that, like I said, I'm not saying the Bank of Japan or, Japan itself are manipulating the market, but I do think that there's a lot of worries over there. And this yen going back and forth is definitely a sign that someone over there is in deep shit. And I think it's 100% SoftBank. If you look at their market cap, which is about 58 billion, and then they have their exposure to ARM, which ARM's market cap right now is roughly 65 billion. I mean, we're talking about, I mean, they have a huge position on ARM. We're talking about majority of their market cap pretty much comprising of their ARM shares. So that's really interesting to see that. That's not necessarily a good thing, right? If ARM starts tanking, then, well, what do you think is going to happen to SoftBank? So it's just interesting thing that I'm looking at. But when we look at ARM, the reason I think that it's also going to go down is because the IPO was not too long ago. And we know how IPOs work. We see a first pump to liquidate everyone who's going short because they know it's going to go down. Then it goes down, then it pumps up again. And there's a good chance that we can continue down from here and see new lows for ARM. So I'm not necessarily bullish on this thing one bit. I think this might be something I might get into and buy some puts for 2025, 2026, but it's down 3.55% today. I mean, it was at one point earlier today down to $60.79 up. I mean, it opened at $64 or so. So it's really interesting to see that. It's something we have to keep an eye on. It's one that I want to continue to keep an eye on because I do think that there's a lot of things in this market that don't make sense. ARM is one of them. And if we just look at oil before we get into Bitcoin, I mean, this thing is falling off a cliff right now. We're at $73.26 for a barrel. I'm going to make the case right now that by elections, we're going to be somewhere in the $30 to $40 range per barrel. You're going to see cheap gas. And this is probably going to be the most perfect thing for whoever's running for president because they're going to say, look at how great the economy is doing or how great it is that you can get gas for under $2. But at the same time, that probably means that the economy is absolutely falling off a cliff. So it's going to be
I'm just glad
gaslighting.
I closed my natural gas trade when I did because I just looked at that for the first time in like the last 6 weeks, and I think I closed out at like 670 a share, and it's down to like 532. So I'm glad I exited when I did.
Definitely did. I took a little bit hit on that. That demand dried up faster than anyone could possibly anticipate, and I
I think
didn't expect.
The El Nino is not having the same impact as of right now as initially anticipated.
We're gonna have to do a show in the future about how the El Nino is different in years where there's economic downturn because I do think we're going to see a recession in 2024 and see how if it has any impact on it or if it's just 100% guided by just low demand and people not necessarily wanting to buy the same products that maybe aren't as easily available due to weather. But oil, I think that there's a good chance we're going to start seeing handles in the 60s, and by election time, I think it's very possible that we could have hit 35 to $40-ish for a barrel of oil. OPEC continuing to cut, but demand not being there, and the price keeps going down. Shows you where this market's going, guys. So that's all I got on the TradFi front. A lot of interesting stuff that I'm keeping an eye on. Let's talk about Bitcoin because this is pretty freaking hilarious. I mean, look at this green candle once again. And if we look at the volumes, let's pull the volumes up. We can see that they're pretty neutral until we get these massive spikes, right? I got another one that shot up all the way here. And the thing is, we probably could push up a little bit higher. I'm looking at 42,705. Hitting the top of this parallel channel is a good place where we could find rejection. If we look at those stochastic RSIs, those we're at 186.96 by market close today. We're going to be extremely overbought on the daily. That was the one thing that we were worried about. They said that there was a lot of room on the daily to continue pushing up. If we look at this on the weekly, we're at 100 and 100, so it can't get more overbought. I mean, price can stay elevated, but it can't be more overbought in terms of the value that you're getting for what you're buying. You can see this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're currently in our 8th green week. I mean, it just started last night. 8 green weeks straight up. And I guarantee you, if I look at this, it starts when Tether started printing billions of dollars in USDT. Yes, it is October 16th that week. I believe it was the 19th when they first started doing it. Man, guys, this is the most healthy bull market I've ever seen in my life. The volumes are low because we're still early, guys. That's why the volumes are fucking low. I can't. I mean, 3-wave
Just
corrective
wait
pattern.
until the institutions start buying, Kev. You said 42,000. Put a 0 on the end of it. We're going to 420,000, baby.
I will say this: if we're watching a building burning, the whales are holding the door for retail, but they're charging a cover to get inside. That's where we are right now in this market.
I'm trying to figure out what you just said.
All right.
Okay.
Imagine the hottest club in the world, and it's Bitcoin. And all the whales are trying to leave through the front door, right? But it's on fire, and no one outside knows that. They're trying to go inside. They're paying a cover, and the whales are getting out. Exit liquidity. The Ace said I nailed that. So I agree with Ace 100%. Play it back, J-Web. You know what I mean. It's fucked. 100%. This is where we're sitting in that market, and I don't believe it. I don't believe that stable coins are 1-to-1. When I look at the divergence, I can't justify buying fucking Bitcoin here. And if we look at Bitcoin dominance, it's guys, this is, I said 52 to 57. If we broke above 52, we're going to go to 57. We're at 54 points. 54.25 right now. I mean, we're still in this move to the upside here for Bitcoin dominance. And I mean, alts right now are, maybe they're down a little bit, maybe they're up a little bit here in green. It's nothing too crazy. But imagine this fucking Bitcoin starts to dump with dominance this high. Alts are going to bleed out like 20%, 30%, like nothing. It's going to be so quick. And the reason that is because there's no liquidity in the market. We talk about, all these stable coins just absolutely just having, they're not being 1-to-1. I especially don't think that the ones on Tron network are 1-to-1 at all. So if everyone's trying to head for the exit and there's only one exit, well, then you're going to get bottlenecked and you're going to start seeing people take market orders, and this price is going to just shoot down faster than you can anticipate. So I'm very bearish on this number. The fact that Bitcoin dominance is so high. I mean, I think Bitcoin dominance is going to continue to go. I think 57, even 60 is possible, but we're going to get to a point where that's not going to mean what people want it to mean, and it's going to get bloody real fast. I'm not going to try and fight when this market's going to absolutely turn around. I think that logically, it should be soon. I think after the first of the year, we'll probably see a significant move to the downside, just because I think that's when liquidity is going to start drying up. And we'll take a look at the reverse repo again later this week when we get some more data on it. But that's going to line up a lot with what's going on in TradFi when it comes to liquidity. And I think that there's going to be a massive rush in all markets. And we're already seeing that with, the gold trade and people expecting uncertainty. So Bitcoin might be 100%. What people think is going to be foolproof in a recession, I think that's 100%, the biggest fallacy that we've ever been told about Bitcoin, that it was made for recessions. This is our trial run, guys. We're going to find out if Bitcoin's made for recessions or not. It all comes to liquidity. It has nothing to do with anything on chain.
Okay. What else on the crypto side before we wrap this bad boy up?
You choose, man. You're the one that won the bet. So if you want to look at Matic, you want to look at that tomorrow, you want to look at anything else.
We can wait. We can wait till tomorrow. We can look at some more of the charts tomorrow as well.
Let's do this though. I do want to do this. This is fucking hilarious. USDT dominance, absolutely tanking, right? 5.94%. How are you guys going to get out? USDC, let's look at that. We know that USDC, where's the market? There it is. Market cap USDC. We know that CZ turned himself in a week before Thanksgiving, actually. That's when he agreed to the deal. And that was literally the bottom of the USDC, just absolutely bleeding out nonstop for months. Isn't that fucking hilarious? Like, if you don't believe in correlation, then I don't know, maybe keep buying at that point. That's not financial advice at all. But this is just hilarious to me. That
you heard him, folks. Financial advice from Kevin.
Hey, I have a lot of shit that I said in this show that is 100% my opinion, not fact, 100% until it actually comes true. So just keep that in mind. But when we look at this right here, this is 100% the market bottom for USDC, and now it's kind of stabilizing. It's only been a few weeks, but if we look at this on the daily, we're starting to see it trade sideways, which is a good sign for USDC. I don't necessarily think this is over. I think it will continue to bleed if there is a liquidation run, but we're not done, guys. We're not done. I don't believe that the Binance, Tron, any of that Tether saga is over. We have SBF and CZ in custody, and we know that he's going to be testifying in February, I believe. So once again, next year, there's probably going to be some type of liquidity crisis once we get some more information regarding that stuff too. So the market, take advantage of it for what it is when it is, because I don't know how long it'll last.
All right. That is how we're going to wrap it up for today. Appreciate everybody for joining us, being active in the chat. That's awesome to see. Chris, Mr. House, Ace, Randy, all of you guys. Appreciate your support as always. Kev, you nailed it.
They fucking loved it.
They loved it. Clip that. It'll go viral. Can't wait. But we'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. Hope everyone, if you haven't done it yet, hit that like button, subscribe. I know all the guys who are watching live have subscribed, but if you are watching this later and you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. We do this all the time. We try to put out some good, reasonable, unbiased analysis of the markets. So join us again, because we'll be doing this a whole lot more. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next time.
Take care, everyone.